Welcome back to the Conversion Stack. Today's episode, where are all the expert technical marketers? And we're really going to dig into that supply and demand issue that we see in digital marketing today, the rate of progression in digital marketing and how talent struggles to keep up. And probably the biggest topic, my belief of how companies continue to invest heavily in world-class systems and workflows for sales, systems and workflows for product development, but really struggle to bring that level of focus into marketing and demand gen, even though it's really the hardest and most important component of business today. So I'm excited to dig in. Mark and I are going to go into that topic, and see you there.
Welcome back to the Conversion Stack, episode 2. We finally made it.
Yeah.
It's been a long road. I'm Mark Bunker, lead of production at OM, and I'm here with Daniel, the CEO. How you doing this morning?
Good. I'm excited. We got some more podcasts to do.
Yeah, we got a whole slate in front of us. Today, we're going to touch on some of the problems with trying to hire or form a great marketing team, or we'll get into it, but even roles that expand beyond marketing. I think something that we've seen with a lot of companies as we dig into them is 90% of them, we could say, just need really good foundational marketing. I think that's something that we really believe in. But as we go in and we audit companies and work with them, we see whether they've worked with other agencies or they try to build their own internal team. And I feel like one reason that there's poor execution is they don't have the right team in place, or maybe the right skill sets. And I think a lot of companies sometimes try to take their product team that might be building the actual software and try to move them over to marketing, whether it's like developers or designers, and it just kind of falls flat, or maybe they don't totally know what they're doing. Why do you think so many companies or even agencies kind of miss with having the right people in the right place?
It's something that I think about a lot, and it's almost tough to really clarify in the brain, but I think digital marketing, and I want to specify, I think that's where really the core of this conversation focuses on, has a demand supply problem. There's a ton of marketers. What's happened is the internet has become this gigantic transition over the past 20 years. And the reality is the industry is super nascent. Digital marketing is just 20 years old. Modern digital marketing, as the way it shifts, is maybe 2 and 3 years old. The pool of experienced technical marketers is extremely low.
Right.
For various reasons. The industry is too low, too small. The industry is so young that leadership for technical marketing, they themselves are not vetted in the trenches to then bleed down to their team.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is we just have this tiny supply of technical marketers. And we like to say that execution is one of today's biggest competitive advantages. What's happening is there's so much amazing strategic thinking because there are these amazing marketing leaders, but very few people that can deploy that with effective digital marketing because it's such a new nascent industry.
So I know digital marketing is such a broad term, right? Like from my design side, if you were to hire a designer and just looking for a designer, you get all kinds of people, or even people would kind of laugh at the description of just hiring a designer, right? What are you looking for? Graphic designer, illustrator, UX designer, whatever it may be. But it seems when it comes to marketing, it's just digital marketer, or at least that's my perspective. And I know even when we started working together, too many years ago, growth hacker was the big thing, right? It was how do you get more users onboarded and all this kind of stuff? And it's all the job descriptions were growth hacker. Is it now just digital marketer? And that's it doesn't differentiate between the person with an Instagram account who knows how to do some Facebook ads versus somebody who knows how to do Google Analytics and connect HubSpot forms and get in the trenches and do all that technical marketing.
That's probably one of the challenges, right? That the word digital marketing is actually really broad, but probably treated like it's not.
Yeah.
I like to say that anyone with an Instagram account today is a digital marketer.
Yeah, it's kind of split into.
Where we see the biggest gap, and this is something that we face, our clients face, their partners face, is technical digital marketing, technical foundation. It's really, you're able to deploy a strategy or an idea. How do you really get to the nitty-gritty of digital targeting and not just boosting a post to someone that has the role that you might be targeting? Or how do you really get to advanced analytics beyond traffic?
When we're training or hiring, what are some of the skill sets from, this digital marketer that needs to be a technical digital marketer or a conversion expert? What's kind of the difference, or what's the range of skill sets that somebody who's hiring to build out a team needs to look for?
I think companies need to look at it from multiple sides of the equation. If you're looking for junior talent, and what we try to do is really focus on the intangibles. How do we find highly motivated people that have interest in technology and digital marketing and make sure that we have processes and frameworks and systems to give that person as much exposure as possible?
Right.
Because there's such a low supply of unicorn marketers, these talented technical marketers, we have purposely created systems for that, where we begin with the fundamentals, not how do you post on Instagram. We begin with how do you set up Google Tag Manager in a way that you can track every valuable touch point of a prospect before they convert, right?
Yeah.
So like that is really, really the biggest thing that we look for, is the intangibles of individuals. And then if it's a more senior individual, it's really that same hunt, I would say, where what type of exposure to technical marketing do they have? And even if it's single function, they've been deep in the ad platforms as an example, or deep in analytics, we know that they understand the fundamentals of how digital happens, which then can be translated over to the other platforms. The fundamentals of Google AdWords, even to Google Analytics, to Mixpanel, are actually pretty similar. It's just can you mentally architect that and then learn it with more exposure and systems, which is why.
Unicorn marketers, does that exist, or is that just a myth as it sounds?
I would say both. There's very few of them. Even those need more what we call full stack resources these days. I think there was the growth hacking days. It was just hack together a landing page and a simple form field because that was the state of the internet.
Yeah.
That individual, no matter how talented, can't deploy a full campaign today at the level that the modern consumer expects.
I know I've mentioned it before. I think a lot of companies, who are getting into trying to be design-led, or design thinking was a big thing, they'd hire one designer, right? And it's kind of the same thing of like, we need designer. And then designer comes in, it's probably somebody with a year experience out of college, and then they're asked to like do a little bit of marketing, do a little bit of website development, be an illustrator, be a UX designer. And they're stressed out and it just doesn't work out. I feel like I see the same thing from the marketing side at times now, where it's like we'll come into a company and they have like one marketer, or maybe they'll have a marketing leader and then one person executing marketing, and they're doing their best and they're scrambling around. But between strategy and execution, A, maybe can't keep up with everything. B, maybe they don't have all the skill sets. What's like the perfect team or like skill sets? I mean, I think we talk about a lot where it ends up being almost like a team of people executing. Yeah. And it really, even if you have a unicorn marketer, you still need a good developer or good designer. I mean, you need to be a unicorn marketer with development and design skills or something, really.
I think the vision for a marketing team needs to change. Like, what does the average marketing team look today in clients that we go to? There's typically a head of marketing, there'll be a content specialist, there'll be a marketing analyst, or marketing specialist, and that's their team.
Yeah.
The way we view a marketing team, or the way I believe companies need to view the marketing team, is you should have that demand generation specialist, you should have a developer on the marketing team, you should have a conversion-focused designer on the marketing team, and that is a marketing team that can deploy technical marketing. Even the way we approach teams has not matured at the rate of the internet. We're still looking and building teams with non-technical marketers in a world where technical marketing is how you touch your prospects.
A company wants to do, hey, we're going to get into the digital marketing world. We're behind, right? We're going to start doing some lead gen, whatever, creating leads through the internet. They hire a marketer and they look at a marketing team. But what I'm hearing is they really need to be like have a multidiscipline team of like, oh, hey, we're going to need a developer, we're going to need a designer, we're going to need a marketer. So I feel like a lot of them just don't know what they don't know, right? Yeah. It's like, oh, we need to do marketing, so we're going to hire a marketer. And that's just like step one of like 5.
That'd be a fun data collection to do, right? To go and see how people define a marketing team.
Yeah.
Versus, and almost segment that from high performing companies to
Right.
like lower performing companies, or the ones that are stuck in that whack-a-mole marketing that we talk about. I'd be really curious to see what their view of a marketing team looks like, and I
Yeah.
would gamble that the higher performing team does have more of these technical skill sets
Yeah.
with really good marketing focused leadership.
Yeah. I think we've talked about a bit of how we kind of see these changes in the industry where, 10 years ago, it was really hard to build like a product, right? And now there's so many like tool software out there and like everybody's built a product that it's like become so much easier.
Yeah.
Other areas I worked in the past, 10 years ago, it was like, oh, we're going to build a product. Let's hire a developer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then people are just throwing ideas at the developer, and maybe there's a designer, but there's nobody doing like product management. There's not even like a marketer. There's like nothing around it. And you just have like this really crappy engineered software with like no user experience and just like a ton of features that may or may not make sense.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's like maybe where the marketing world is now of, oh, we need to do digital marketing. We'll just hire a digital marketer or even like a brand marketer and give them like zero support and then ask why it's not working or it's like not a good user experience.
The marketing world is starting to reflect the development world 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's funny how in that time, the product development world overcorrected. Remember when it was all about user experience?
Right.
And you had these companies that had 2 users, and instead of selling, they were changing the button color to try to get.
Yeah.
We're in a similar situation, probably the early stages of that, where software development was huge, and there was this insane demand for developers, and there was actually very few good ones. So the cost got extremely high. They had the supply and demand issue, and we're having that today. Digital marketing is moving too fast. Then COVID hit, and it sped up by 5-10 years.
Right.
The marketing talent has not been able to match with the need.
Mm-hmm.
And now everyone's scrambling to figure it out.
Yeah.
But when it's done, it's really special. I think there's some really amazing marketing teams out there. We work with some of them, both in-house at our company and with external partners. And it's really awesome to see full stack marketing teams come together because really good marketing is really impressive.
One of the tough things that we've found or learned the hard way or have solved for is once you get all these people from different disciplines, like how do you get them to work together and be on the same page, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like the analogy we've used sometimes is, the Miami Heat, however long ago, when they had like the big three of Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, they didn't win like every game right away.
Yeah, go
right?
Heat.
Go Heat. Any advice or anything that you've learned as like a CEO of a company trying to bring in these young, talented people or young, driven people into a team where they have different skill sets?
I want to talk about marketing at companies the way companies talk about sales, the way they talk about product development, teams, right? Companies, a lot of the ones we work with or audit and experience, invest so much into sales operations. Mm-hmm. They have workflows. They have layers of salespeople, right? From SDRs to AEs to closers.
Yeah, there's even a name for every stage of the sales funnel and who they're going to talk to.
Of course, there's so
qualifications.
There's so much process and systems for world-class sales.
Yep.
And how often do we see that in marketing?
So from the sales side, you're even talking about like sales script. I don't know what you technically call them. Sales scripts?
Yeah, scripting, sequences, handoff of prospects based on life cycle stages. It's a very defined
and then you have a whole
operation
CRM
inside a company.
Yeah.
Marketing is almost never that.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2 or 3 people figuring out what to write a blog post about today.
Right.
And what agency to hire to deploy their Google ads.
Yeah.
And not that that's the worst. If that's the resources you have, that's good. Are those working in harmony? Is the Google ad strategy and the social ad strategy working in sync with your content strategy? Probably not. I would say the big innovation that we push for in-house and try to push for our partners is let's treat marketing like a function of business because, like we just spoke about, demand generation, aka digital marketing, is the hardest function today. It's easy to build that product, easier to build a product.
Right.
It's not easy to do sales. I think sales is an extremely hard function, but it's mature. We can find good sales leaders. We can find good salespeople. We can build good sales systems that are tried and true. There's just not a ton of tried and true marketing systems and workflows. How we just talked about how people don't even know how to build their marketing teams today. That's in transition. So I think it's about being really intentional about having systems and workflows. Hey, if we're deploying a campaign, when do we engage the creative team? What are the stages of that? And how do we deploy it effectively so it hits multi-channel, which is the way you deploy campaigns today.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people we work with, we've seen have, like you were saying, a strong sales team, a strong product, and then lack in marketing. And now that you've been talking about it, it's like you can definitely see that they have that because sales has a great process, system, documentation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Design development for the product. They're not just throwing out a feature and telling a developer to add in. There's like a system, some kind of qualification, some kind of workflow, all in there, right? But then when it comes to marketing, it's this afterthought of, oh, we need blog posts. Oh, we need to run some ads, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what that always looks like, but just make it sexy or make it something. And then it's just like a little bit all over the place with no real rhyme or reason.
Yeah, make it pop and why we're not getting any leads. What's interesting about that is even our experienced marketers don't come from companies where there's like deep marketing workflows. So it's tough to deploy. We still are not as good as we want to be. It's a process of continued education and refinement because we create systems and we're creating them for the first time. So it's just a tough challenge that we all need to keep doing, is being as intentional as we can about solving them. I like to say that we're a small agency that's trying to do the things that small agencies don't do so we can be more than that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great example of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's sometimes surprising. Even we've worked with $100 million company, $1 billion companies that have a very small, which is a case of exactly what we're talking about, of having a small marketing team, right? Or a marketer.
Yeah.
And then they're throwing together landing pages in just like
an unbounce.
Yeah, an unbounce or like a page builder, which is okay for the right size company. And those are great products when it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But for like $1 billion company with resources, having just a marketer creating unbounced landing pages is not going to get you world-class results that you're looking for.
Yeah. I mean, the world there's so much information on the web, and every touch point with your prospects matters more than it's ever mattered before.
Yeah. And I think the lesson there maybe is just because you can do it and doesn't mean you should do it, from like a one person does it all kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you're a marketer and I get it, you have a vision, I'll just go in and create on Unbounce because I can. And I'll just go create the images in Canva or the ads because I can. And it's going to be easier for me just to spit those out and turn them out and just get everything launched.
Yeah.
I think that happens probably when there isn't that systems in place. And there's no dedicated conversion-focused designers. There's no developers like at your disposal. So then it just becomes this like, one-person or three-person team doing a whole marketing kind of execution for $1 billion company, which is like almost shocking.
and you know what ends up happening is if you really like slow down and compare it to some world-class companies, you realize that it's not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, you look at some of these high-performing Silicon Valley companies where a lot of these growth marketing teams really exist, and their stuff is world class. Their landing pages are not done in Unbounce. They're done by teams that have tested every component of it and understand what it means to appeal to the audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything leads back to this concept or belief that we practice where marketing needs to be a serious component of your business, because there's so much noise in the world today that demand generation is going to continue to get harder and harder.
I mean, just the term digital marketer is so broad. So then like, do you throw technical digital marketer in front of it? And I'm sure a lot of CEOs, CMOs have this problem of trying to find the right people and the right team.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've struggled with it earlier as an agency and kind of churned through people who we thought had the right experience or the right title and just didn't pan out. I think our solution for it has been hire people who are driven and young and really interested, and then train them.
Yeah.
Is that kind of your best advice for anybody who's creating a team? I know that's kind of more the long game than the sprint.
We're a company that's fully dedicated to marketing. That's what we do. So we have a big team of marketers, and we have the ability to hire young people and give them exposure and training with time to allow them to thrive. So that works for us with that layer of our company. I don't suggest people just bring a bunch of young, hungry people to have them figure it out.
Yeah.
You really have two options. One, if you can find a really experienced marketer that can bridge that strategy to execution gap and build that team and understands the pieces of it and deploy.
So a leader to come in to hire and train a team, essentially.
Yes.
Okay.
Which again, we've spoken about this. It's extremely difficult.
Find the unicorn
Find the unicorn.
and have them train smaller unicorns.
Yes. And do that in a environment where the CEO is asking for immediate results.
Right.
Initiatives are being canceled within 3 weeks because they're not getting new pipeline. I don't want this to sound like a plug because we're an agency, but one thing that most companies do in most solutions, whether it's marketing or HR or whatever, is find a group of experts, like an agency, build out those processes with them. And if your goal is to eventually come in-house, slowly layer in those individuals. And we've seen that in the past. We've worked with companies where we've been with them 2 or 3 years. We've developed their systems, and now they can plug in the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And that works. Those are really the options that we believe in. If you need results now, that's the option. Building that team and training those individuals and building those processes is a 6, 12, 2-year process.
Yeah.
And what I suggest is get those results now while you're able to build that ecosystem for future success.
Yeah. And like you're saying, I mean, shameless agency plug, I think we have the benefit of playing the long game, right? We're going to be here forever. And we're so specialized that we have experts already in place and we can kind of backfill with the motivated people. And we have processes within our company of shared learnings, frameworks for them to jump into, learn from others. So we have the benefit of that. And hopefully we can share that with companies who are looking to like have a small team and are looking to sprint almost right from the get-go.
And I think that's not just us. When you think about these companies that eventually mature from us, if that's the play, they can eventually get to a point where they've been in the long game and they can really become that machine themselves. So they can hire and bring people and plug them into the right areas.
Right.
It's about understanding where you are as a business in the life cycle and if you're ready to do that.
So it's about building a marketing machine similar to the way they built a sales machine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a product development team. There's probably less people who have experience building the marketing machine right now.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it's almost in its like infancy or like the beginning stages.
Yeah, and I think that's the big takeaway of today. And the more we talk about it, the more it provides clarity. It's like those machines are so mature and have so much history and functions of business that have more maturity than what digital marketing has.
Yeah.
Companies can find a way to solve for that and really invest in demand gen. I think that the outcome will be really good.
Cool. We need the Daniel Sosa coaching tree. Everybody that you've trained in the past spreading to other companies. No, we want to keep all those people. So just to wrap it up, what I've really gathered from this is if you're looking to build a digital marketing team, it has to be a team. You have to treat it like a full function of your company the same way you do with product development and sales.
Yeah.
You can look for that unicorn, but you're probably not going to find it, or they're going to be so overwhelmed with work, they're not going to be able to handle it. So find somebody who can build a team, to find driven people who are going to learn and be conversion experts.
Demand supply gap with digital marketers and how companies solve that, whether it's building that process in-house, going out of house, and how do we begin to take the function of marketing as serious as we've taken product development and sales development, so we have those workflows and systems to really mature marketing. And it's something that I think is really interesting. If anyone that spent a lot of time on LinkedIn, right, there's every day you see a meme about a single marketer with things on fire in the background, because that is where marketing life is today for someone in a high growth company. It's a one person trying to balance everything that they can, and rarely hitting the results that they need to.
Right.
So I just want to bring more exposure to that, because demand generation is going to continue to get more and more difficult, and companies that want to succeed need to elevate their focus on marketing and demand gen.
So focus on building a sustainable process, sustainable team, and not a single marketer or unicorn marketer who's going to do it all for you.
That's right.
Awesome. That's our time for today. Follow us, subscribe on your favorite listening platforms.
Yeah.
Dan, you're very active on LinkedIn, so hit up Dan with any questions, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.